17 innings.
Yeah.
Longest
History.
history.
I saw something on, it went to the World's, went to
Okay,
the Hall of
call this
Fame.
meeting to order at 6:30. Have a roll call.
Donna Bronx here.
Sandy Slavens here.
Jim Gibberti here, the three of us. We have a quorum. And we have minutes from September 6th for approval. I've got one question on it, under sewer superintendent's report discussion, number 3. Should that be sludge disposal? Alternate sludge disposal?
Yeah, sludge instead of.
Slug?
Yeah, you could
Slug?
slug. Yeah.
I didn't, but it's, it is sludge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spell sludge.
S-L-U-D-G-E.
Yeah.
S-L-U-D-G-E. Yep.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes with the change.
And now second for discussion.
Okay.
I have a chance to review the minutes before they're finalized. And I noticed they've gone to very discussion with no type of information behind the scenes. Are you comfortable with all the minutes just being we discussed this or we discussed that, as opposed to saying something about it? Did that make sense for my?
Yeah, I
It
know,
was-
I know what you're saying.
because-
I think if it was, oh God, I'm looking for a word. Contentious. You'd see more stuff, but generally any discussion has been very,
No, but the idea, we had discussions that we said we needed this type of report or that type of report, and it wasn't going to be covered. Here's an example of the October 4th minutes that I got. All it said is discussion. And I thought
Oh,
we should be
yeah.
putting some more detail behind each discussion point, as opposed to making it so vague. Someone down the line is going to look at a set of minutes.
yeah.
And what do you say?
Yeah,
What did you say?
yeah, you got a good
Pull a
point there.
video.
And so-
Videos,
yeah.
document, can't they go pull a video?
They can, but you know what, this isn't typical, only with Rebecca's
No, it's been
transition.
going on.
Has it really?
Yes, it's been, I looked at past minutes, and this was something that was very typically done, discussion of a topic. So when I looked at the October 4th minutes, I sent back, please add the following information, like here it says, update on the Beta Swiss speech time estimate. I had her ask Beta expect bid to go out 10/16 with 2 weeks bid responses. I mean, I didn't think that was bad information, just to
No.
say we had a discussion was too vague. So I would like to see some more meat behind each discussion point. It's just me. And we did Stone Path, and we had a lot of discussion.
Yeah.
That we needed a drawdown test that wasn't covered in this discussion points. So if it's all right with the board, I would like to work with the department to put a little bit more guts behind each one of these components.
Yeah, it's fine with me, I have no qualms with it, it probably would be helpful.
Because someone's gonna pick it up after us. Okay, so,
I have
based
no
on that,
objection, but I don't think that needs a motion.
no, I just,
Okay, no,
so,
okay,
I seconded, so we have a,
Okay, motion is second, all in favor?
Aye.
So
3-0-0.
Sandy is gonna work with Anita.
And now we have the October 4th minutes.
I'm not gonna be able to do anything on this because I was
When are they
not
gonna be-
here.
okay. Okay, Sandy, you'll.
I'll make a motion, we accept the October 4th minutes as presented.
I'll second it. Now, can we vote on these?
Yes,
Okay, fine.
we have a quorum available.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Abstain.
201,
Yep.
thank you. It's just that somewhere down the line, someone's gonna pick up some information and say, what the hell are
No.
they talking about?
No, and it's very good point, very, very good point.
So as she sends me the information, I will be putting some guts behind the discussion points
Okay.
based on my notes.
All right. Okay, now we have abatements. The first one for Crocker Ave.
Okay.
And the recommendation is no abatement at this
Right.
time.
And I read it, I make a motion that we do not abate the 13 Crocker Avenue as recommended by the superintendent due to our policies and procedures.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
300. The next one we have is Sandwich Road.
Why, can I ask a question, Mr.
Yes, you can.
Superintendent? Why would you recommend, if the water is still on, but it's not being used as, why would you recommend a reduction?
Because they're remodeling. It's the same thing we did with, when the people that own the pizza place in Onset, they built this big building and there's all these apartments they're restoring, we got all this water flowing.
Yeah.
We need to charge them for each room, the restaurant, the whole 9 yards, we reduce this to one while they're remodeling. When they're done remodeling, then they go back and reassess. So they bought the building, when they bought the building before they purchased it was, it had multi-functions,
It had two businesses in it.
that they were doing
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
So they're gutting it and they're remodeling it. So while they're doing that, I can't see charging 2 EDUs for something that they're actually gutting. And so it no
Okay.
longer is what it was, it's something new.
What's the standard EDU for a dentist?
It's going to be 1 EDU plus each individual chair, so there's some provisions.
So, as you said here, the unit will be reevaluated and proper EDUs will be assigned once the remodeling is done.
Once they're totally done, then we'll go back in and we'll set, just like I think I read something that the motel restaurant's gonna open soon right across from Stonebridge. You'll-
Yeah.
It hasn't until I officially see the paperwork that comes in and says that it's open. We'll go then we'll reassess how many rooms do they have for motels, how much of the kitchen they have, how many seats in the kitchen, what's actually going to be there. But right now, we're charging them 1 EDU because in the middle of remodeling, they stripped everything started again. So that's been our policy when people are remodeling, so that's what we did here also.
So, Mike, my next question is, what are you proposing we charge them?
1 EDU, because water's gonna be used.
So what is that gonna be? Well, how much is one
It's
a year?
$5.96 right now.
Okay,
So-
$5.96.
So, because they're using water in the remodeling process for whatever, water's coming out of the building, so we can't charge them nothing because that would violate the policy.
Right, right.
However, they're gutting it, and because they're remodeling it, rehabilitating the building for it to become a dentist.
Are these the ones that used to be right on
Hilltop.
High Street?
Hilltop. No,
Hilltop.
Yeah,
Oh,
they-
next door.
Hilltop.
yeah, well, right now they're in Church Ave, I guess
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, I think, don't they, I believe.
It's not
they-
High Street?
Is it High Street? I thought it was in Church Street, it could be, one of them.
Oh.
And they're gonna move
So
their
a dentist
practice
has bought
Yeah.
that house from Tamaguini.
about that, and he's gonna
Okay.
come there and he's
Good.
gonna
Okay.
put his practice there, so.
Oh, okay. Is Wareham family,
Which
okay,
one is he at?
all right.
Who?
Is he open right now?
Who?
I thought he was in Church Street.
You're probably right.
I thought
mean,
it was
Is this
Church
one in-
Street.
is this one in business now?
He is.
Elsewhere?
Yes, I think it's Church Street.
Church Street,
I
okay.
believe in the dentistry in Church Street, if I remember.
Okay,
Isn't it Zach now, or Zach, is it
Yeah,
Zach now?
Sandown or something like
I
that.
believe they're in Church Street.
Well,
Oh,
it
okay.
says, his letter says 108 High Street
Okay.
is the address on his letterhead.
yeah, I would say yeah, I know where they are, and I know who they
Oh,
are.
actually, it's Webby, it's not Dr. Zach now.
Okay.
Two?
Webby, it says here, Dr. Yasa Webby, Webby?
Yeah, so,
Okay. All right, I make a motion that we grant
Family.
a reduction of 1 EDU to the Wareham Family Dental
at 50,
Oh, it's on the bottom.
at 596.
Okay.
596?
596.
Oh, yep. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
300. And the next one we have is Cleveland Way. And the recommendation is deny the abatement.
Okay, so you don't, well, okay, the account will be placed on hold as of July 27th, the day
Right.
after the 26th.
Yeah, so the building department, one of the policy states that the building inspector has to go in there, and they did, they found unsafe structures, so that building's condemned.
Yeah,
So from that point on, I don't charge them sewer. So they're
Okay.
asking for abatement, so July 26th is the end of the first half. So
Okay.
they pay that because they use it through July 26th, so
Yeah.
they owe that.
okay,
Going forward, they pay nothing.
okay,
And we bill in the arrears, so we're
Yeah.
not gonna bill for the second half until we get to the first half of next year.
yeah,
So there's nothing to abate.
yeah,
There's just nothing to abate. Because
Okay.
we're gonna put them on hold, we're not gonna bill them for the second half.
right,
So they're asking for abatement of something that they haven't paid yet, and I just don't understand that, so
mhm.
I couldn't abate them. There's no
Well,
reason to abate anything.
I make a motion that we deny the abatement at 15 Cleveland Way based on the superintendent's,
They won't be charged anyway, so
Yeah, they won't be charged.
there's no.
There's
explanation.
nothing to abate because we bill in the arrears.
Any abatement is
Right,
Second.
superfluous. Okay. All in favor?
aye,
Same here, 300.
I'm glad you put Preservation Lane on there, because I was going to ask to just discuss it, because I was there for Conservation Commission, and quite surprised to find that he's gonna do a force main and then a gravity feed to connect to
I'm
Cremisa.
sure.
Yeah,
We went back and forth for quite some time on this, because he originally wanted to take a force main and run a 2-inch pipe along the side. And I said, in.
side of his road.
Side of the preservation rate, 'cause it's a private road.
Yes.
And they said eventually they'll try to get the town to accept it. So anyways, I'd said to them that on Hathaway Street, when they wanted to tie in their buildings, they proposed the same thing, to go along Hathaway Road with a 2-inch force main, and we said absolutely not. You extend that 12-inch pipe down to your property. So I said to them, I said, you can bring an 8-inch pipe up to the cul-de-sac, and that gives everybody in the future to use that if they choose to, if they have failures. But then you can connect to that a force main if you'd like. And he mulled it well, and they said, yeah, it just made sense to him, so they agreed to it, and I was happy to see that they agreed to it. So they're gonna put an 8-inch line, that's gonna come out, there's already a stub there coming off of Cremisa Road. So they're gonna put that stub, they're gonna connect the 8-inch line to that stub, bring it all the way up to the cul-de-sac, then they're gonna run their force main from their E1 pump up to that gravity line, so it's
Now,
really a
the
good
question
plan.
has been asked by people who live along Preservation Lane.
Mhm.
Will they be charged an will they be charged an EDU? Not until they hook up. Will they be charged a betterment fee? I said, I don't think so, since the town did not put this in at all, so there's no
Even better.
cost. There's no cost to the town, and there's no cost to them for betterment.
So the only question, it's up to them, it's private, the gentleman that paid for it, he can say, yeah, I'll charge you a % of what I
Yeah.
paid.
But
That's a
those
personal
5
flight.
brand-new homes are probably within 5 years old. A brand-new one is just being completed, and he just had to put a nitrogen-reducing system in. So I can't see any of them even thinking about hooking up until their new systems
To fail.
fail.
The guy
But there's
that's-
no requirement for them to hook up.
No, the guy that, because it's not,
It's-
see, our policy states that when sewer goes by, you have 1 year to hook up. And that's when, because we do the,
Yep.
it doesn't specify private or public, and so I'm still going on the assumption that's public. If the system fails and they want to tie into that system, then it's another whole story. There's nothing I can do about that. So they got to talk to the owner, and I guess he can say no. That's going to be a legal battle between that associations. They can say, no, I paid for this whole shebang, you can't tie into it. I can't
But
get into
if
that.
it's a private hookup,
Who owns the road?
it's private.
It's private, they own it, preservation
Okay,
land.
so the association, if they have.
In theory, everybody has a piece
I
of
got
that
you,
road.
right, exactly, okay.
So we have nothing to do with that road.
So that way, someplace down the road, that becomes,
It's
the
similar,
argument, he doesn't let them hook up, then they put the
It's-
charge to him for
it's-
using the road.
Yeah, so that's up to them.
That's up to them,
it's,
that's not us.
it's similar to my situation. I put the sewer system in on Glendora Ave, and, you know, I built most of the houses there, so it didn't, but, a couple of them didn't, and they paid a fee to tie into it.
It's a private.
So
thing.
eventually, if they ever tie into this line, they'll be charged an EDU,
AD is always, that's
but
service.
no betterment.
No betterment
Okay.
to us. The only concern I have is that, and one of the reasons why he wanted to put the sewer, and he really, because they have a plan to come to town meeting to get that road accepted by the town. At that point in time, we'll own that, and we'll own everything underneath it, so I don't know what we'll do at that point in time. And that's why I said to him, because I said, I'll be very frank with you, if it comes in front of me that we're gonna accept that road, I'm gonna say we will not accept that 2-inch line, because that's not what we do standardized. And so I'm gonna make you put standard sewer in there. We already
What
inherited.
2-inch line?
Well, he didn't put it, he was gonna,
But he said he'd do an 8.
that's right.
Okay, so-
Originally, it was a 2-inch line, the side of it, and I said, if it ever gets accepted, that's unacceptable in the long picture, because if you ask me to accept that road, from the
That's
sewer
it,
point of
okay.
view, I'm gonna say no. So that's why, another reason why he did it right the first time, so if it comes for town acceptance, as sewer goes, we're gonna hold him to the fire to make sure we accept no more roads that
It's
we
a
have.
beautiful piece of lot right down by the water, but it is surrounded by wetlands,
Wetland.
and he barely got room for his house on it, and definitely no space left for a septic
So I think
system.
we could do it. So it worked, and I'm happy it worked out for him, because A, we wanna get the septic out of the area,
Sure.
because of sensitivity of nitrogen, and it becomes a buildable lot now, and I think it's a great, I think it's a win-win-win for everybody, so. So what I need is that because he wants to tie the sewer, even though there's a stub there, he needs permission to tie in, so I'm asking the board to grant him permission to tie into the system.
And is he tied in, he pays the most current betterment fee?
No, he
He's
doesn't,
gonna pay
he doesn't pay
better.
anything,
No,
because
the-
our policy states the cost of doing that, he's gonna get reimbursed.
Okay, so,
He'll pay the most recent sewer development fee minus his cost for his pump lines, and
okay, so there's no, all you need is permission for him to tie in, and there's nothing else.
that's it. Because when we looked at the cost of this, it's gonna be greater than $18,000.
Oh, it's gonna be big.
Yeah, so there's no, I'm thinking there's no sense in,
Okay.
it's gonna wash,
Are you looking for approval?
Yeah.
just for him to tie in.
First of
I
all,
make
out
a-
of curiosity, Guy, what is the cost differential between the 2 and the 8-inch pipe?
It was huge. We know, so I'll tell you this,
Because
how many feet did we do on Hathaway? That was $56,000 for those 2 houses on Hathaway. One is a group home, another one I haven't built yet, but it went from, I wanna say it could be no more than 300 feet. All right, so to put that line in, cost him $54,000. So you know, that's just a concept, an idea of the cost. He's looking at huge money to put that system in. So, it's gonna be greater than 18.
But you're looking at, I guess what I'm looking at is that if he did a 2-inch line, it would cost him pretty much the same kind of dollars. His only
it'd be
differential
less.
cost is yeah, it would be less, but his only cost differential is the material, is the pipe itself.
The pipe, the excavation, the depth, Because with a force main, you don't have to be, you don't have to be on the frost, you don't worry about any of that stuff. So it's depth, and every time you dig, every foot
This
down is
gravity.
cost, yeah.
Right.
This is going gravity to force main, so that, he could put an inch and a quarter force main, he could in theory put that a foot in the ground, it wouldn't bother anything,
I got you.
you see, so digging is expensive, so.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and make the motion, Sandy.
I make a motion that we accept the connection to the property Glen Perello off of Preservation Lane to the sewer line on Cremisa.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
300. Okay, superintendent's report. A lining project.
Yeah, she put that in there, it's where, I think, it's already in the goods and services at the state level, so it's advertised, as we speak, it's actually advertised. It's going into Combine, that's something he's gonna negotiate and work out with the town, because Derek has the account from Combine, and we can't, it's gotta go in Combine, so they're working with Derek, and they said they'll get it in, so we'll watch for that. And so that's it, now it's meeting the dates. We have copies of the actual invitation for bid, people can pick it up, or they can go online and get it, it's up to them.
Why does it say 90%? When I looked at the front page, it
Ninety
said
percent, okay, that's a good question. Engineering, when you do plans, it's always 90% till you get to as-built.
Okay. Now, have we cleared the site of trees and vegetation?
Well, we're having fun there, because I've had 3 or 4 or 5, 6 people in, and first of all, no one's gonna pull stumps. I finally found the grinder, so they're gonna work to somebody to grind the stumps. And the first 4 people, Pontiac came in, that they wouldn't bid it at all, they wouldn't touch it, it had to be a land clearer. So now we've got 1 quote from, we're actually waiting for 1 quote from a land clearer. We've got 2 more land clearers we're trying to contact, so we need 3 quotes to say, okay, what's it gonna cost us for land clearers to come in there? And then we already got a quote for de-stumping, to grind stumps, but that's not gonna happen until we clear. So that's where we are with it. I've gotta find 2 more land clearers.
Now, whereabouts is this project?
Behind your house.
Find your house.
Oh,
I gotta put a 25-foot swath from there to actually from there all the way to the soccer field, or the kids' playground behind middle school.
You can't use goats?
I wish I could, goats won't even touch it.
okay, I'm lost.
So behind your house, there's an easement.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
the property here.
Are you talking about my house down the end of the street?
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
That's
okay.
you, that's you. If
Yeah, yeah.
it's not yours, I
No,
apologize.
no, it is my house.
So there's an easement that runs here.
Yeah,
So there's a shed,
yeah, that's
it
my
runs
shed.
by the shed,
Yeah,
comes here, then it goes all the way through all this pucker, comes
yeah,
right in and goes to the baseball, a soccer field.
yeah,
This is all overgrown.
yeah, I know.
So
I have to cut 25-foot swath to get the bypass pipe in there.
Oh, so you're gonna be cleaning that sucker right out?
Yep.
Love it.
And a few sections from that property going toward the mobile home park, there's a couple some little section in
So,
there.
yeah, by the bridge, where the bridge goes over, there's a couple
Yeah.
little sections. So we
Yeah.
gotta clear these out to get the bypass pipes in there.
When are you guys gonna be doing that?
As
Because
soon as I get enough quotes.
I need to let my tenant know.
But your tenant, now your tenant, we've been there a lot, I've been walking people there, so your tenant should know. One guy looked at me and I waved at him, but we're gonna be there, because everybody that quotes it has to walk it. And so we come from by the shed to walk to the back, and we go this way, but we can't get through it
Yeah,
to, to physically walk one to the other, so.
yeah,
We do go to the edge of the property and come to the back, and we look at it and see where the stakes are and get an idea.
yeah.
But they've gotta clear all of that, so it's
Okay.
all gotta be cleared.
You're gonna patch it all up good.
So what we're gonna do is, we're not gonna patch it, we're gonna make it, it's gonna be permanent. So we can go 25 foot, we're gonna cut everything out, grind the stumps down, and now it's gonna be an easement forever. And we'll, every couple, 3 years, we'll go and we'll bush hog it, so it'll be nice and clear. So it'll be 24-foot swath over that pipe,
Yeah,
and it's gonna be nice and clear from forever.
okay, good.
So you can't put your swimming pool there.
Oh, I got plenty of room to put a swimming pool if I wanted to.
So and I think if nothing else, I mean, they're gonna have that clarity to see it, but if nothing's come out the back door, they can walk to the track, I mean, it's gonna be a path, 25-foot path, it's gonna be,
It's not actually it is on my property, isn't it?
it's just, yeah, your property over here, because your property ends something like this. they got the survey, something
Yeah.
like this. So this crosses your property here.
Yeah,
And so this is your property,
Yeah.
ours here.
Yeah.
So this technically is town.
yeah,
And so we get, because that's our easement, so we gotta clear it.
okay, good. All right, okay, it's fine with me.
And until we clear it, how are you really gonna get good people in to do bids to do the lining if they can't see?
Well, they're gonna go manhole, we're gonna show they go manhole to
Manhole to
manhole,
manhole,
so we're gonna
yeah.
show them, because the problem is the bypass.
Mm-hmm.
They can line it manhole to manhole, but when they look at that area, it's okay, I can get a bypass pipe here. And they're gonna say, well, how do I get it here? I can't lay it down, so we're gonna clear it.
Yep.
And we're gonna lay the bypass pump down for them, so. So that's the issue, is just getting the right people to clear it. It's just hard. It's just, I called contact, and walked me, he says, so what do you want me to do? I showed him, he goes, yeah, okay. And so the first three people looked at me like I was nuts. I said, well, I don't know the industry, so I'm just assuming you go in there, you gotta cut it, and he goes, no, you need a land clearer for this. They bring in, because what they do is they've got equipment that straddles, and it's big, and it distributes the weight.
Yeah.
And they can cut things and they can pull things out. And so it's gotta be a land clearer, that's what they do, and especially we got a pipe that's 5 foot down, it's sensitive, so, so it's kinda crazy. So that's what that is.
Yeah, because those tenants have a dog and they have 2 autistic children. I
Oh,
wanna
they
make
have a
sure-
dog. Oh, there's landmines all over the place.
Oh, is there, they don't even pick up the dog?
No, no, no. It was tough walking there.
Really?
And we could tell it was a big dog.
He's a good sized dog,
It is, and they will hear from me.
it's a good sized dog, but, I've been doing this for a while, last year, the first time we all walked through it, like, oh my goodness, and so now we just walk on the outer edges of everything. We learned how to.
Oh, I'm gonna talk.
Because we never thought about it,
Well,
we
you
just
know what,
walked.
I'll talk to them,
Yeah, we just-
because, I don't like that, that's not taking care of my property.
That's on you, but I can work around it. I wanna say something about roots and pipes, and it's becoming a major issue, in the town. So I've been riding around in areas that have roots, I've been telling folks that we have root kill. I spent about $8,000 on root kill. Gallon containers, so it's convenient for the residents, and they just pour it in, and we're giving it away free of charge. Because as these roots go through their lateral, they hit our pipes. 12th Street and Onset, we had to hire somebody to come in, they cut every root. We're treating it, we've treated it twice, and they're coming from people's property. So I'm encouraging all our users who have trees in their yard, specifically by their sewers, to come by the treatment plant, and we will give you a gallon container of root kill. And you just flush it down your toilet. It'll actually, as it's going down, it will coat that pipe. And it'll stop killing root that's there. And if the root's really thick, I'll give you another bottle. Because the key is that the cost to us to chase these roots is substantial. And everybody that has trees in their yard, especially maples that are by sewer, they're gonna get you. They're just simply gonna get you.
Yeah.
And so I want the public to know, our users to know,
And
that I have.
willows.
And weeping willows are the worst.
Yes, they are.
Because we have a weeping willow on 12th Street that's affected probably 500 to 1,000 feet of line, our line. You see, not only their line, our line. So, it's happening all over town. It's everywhere you go, roots, trees have grown. A lot of these projects in Onset and Wareham, they're older developments, they're older, all these very beautiful trees we planted as saplings or 2 or 3 feet are now 30-foot giants with roots that just are eating, and they'll push through these pipes because they're old pipes. And the rubber deteriorates, they're in, and it's all over. It's all over. So I'm encouraging folks to come by. We did a great program with Sunset Island. They had all kinds of root problems. We gave everybody root kill. We had our own root kill, and we're getting it under control. And we'll
Okay, at
continue
noontime
to-
today, everybody flush at the same time.
Yeah, I know, huh? So-
Well, it's one way to coordinate it.
It'll get, and also the residual for us is that when it comes to, it coats this, it comes to our line, coats our line. So everybody wins, everybody wins. So I'm really truly encouraging people to come by and pick up the root kill. And just drop by the plant. You can call us at 508-295-6144. If you can't get there, we'll drop it off to your home, if you can't get to us at all. All right.
Can someone have it announced at the selectmen's meeting? Why don't you put a piece of paper together and they will announce it at a selectmen's meeting?
Okay.
That will get more people than listen to us.
Yeah, our Nielsen ratings aren't quite that high yet.
So I think if you were to find a way of getting it to Alan for Tuesday's meeting, he'll be very happy to announce it for you.
Okay. Alan was at the,
Yeah, I think we'll have another
Reception.
discussion. I couldn't walk. Where I wanted to park my car, I could not walk, it was too far.
you
I
had
ex-
to park, you had to walk across campus.
I expected shuttle cars.
I was gonna go and I couldn't make the walk.
You had to walk across campus.
I couldn't. I hurt
Yeah.
my back.
And I gotta tell you, I
So
don't know,
Bent over like you are.
yeah, it was crazy, and even I walked and said, this is crazy.
I expected a shuttle to help us,
I was thinking, why they didn't have it when we parked?
but anyway, we'll get to it under
So
new business.
Anyways, it kicked off, and Alan was there, it was good to see him there. It was good to see, Marion was there, I think Bourne wasn't there, but it was good to see him.
No born.
No Bourne, it was good to see him there. There's a couple things, let me see if it's here, there's a couple things that I would talk about in my meeting. I would like to renew Abraham's contract, it's expired, and I submitted the bill, it's hard to pay with expired contracts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they just.
Judy does not like to do that.
She doesn't.
No,
I
she
talked
will
to
not.
Derek, and he agreed that we should extend it because we're not done. And the IMA, where we are, is we've done all evaluations, and the numbers are staggering. We believe that we're owed a substantial amount of money. And so that's being presented, and so this is gonna continue on.
They're owed a substantial amount of money.
What they think that okay, we'll put it this way. What we owe them, they owe us probably 7 times that, maybe 8 times that. It's about $500,000. So it's kind of a controversial thing, and so the CPAs are having fun. And what troubles me
They're
is,
running up the bill.
our CPA is saying we're going strictly by the existing IMA. Their CPA is saying, yeah, but it should be this way. And I don't care which way it should be, it's what it is, and that's the debate. And so Derek and Tom and the CPAs are working through this, they're vetting it. Ultimately, the selectmen are gonna have the final say, because they're the ones that do the contract. But I'd like to extend this because we're still working, and I don't wanna stop. I don't wanna be at the mercy of Bourne, so
No.
I'm gonna ask us to extend the Abraham's contract, and I would like the board to vote on extending it, and then sign it. I think I got one in here, can
Okay.
sign that, so.
Well, I'll
I'd
make
like
a
to
motion that
get
we,
an
sign the Abrams contract as requested by the superintendent.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna abstain on this one.
The other thing is, I have a bill, talk about extended contracts, and we're not good at contracts. We lost our contract person a year and a half ago. She went to work for Mattapoisett. She was a procurement, and we haven't replaced her yet. So contracts, something that's getting lost. And what she used to do is bring them up on a monthly basis and review them to make sure they're being adhered to. Then know when they expire, and we go. So anyways, we did the I&I contract. It expired December of 2017. We extended it to May. We didn't complete the project till July, because in the middle of our extension, we had nor'easters, 3 nor'easters in March. We had to go back and reevaluate for the state. So the paperwork didn't get to the state and approved by July. So there's an outstanding bill of $9,000 that's through July. Well, I can't pay it because we had no contract in July, so I would like to get the bill authorized to be paid. I think I gave you a copy in your packet, it was the last week's packet. The bill,
Just with Datas.
yes, the beta bill for the I&I project. Let me see if I got it, I should have it here.
It's in the packet,
I believe it is,
9/7/36/13.
yes. And so, you look at the contract was $236,000 and $236,089.08. What they've expended was, it was 2070. Let me start again. The limit was $278,000 for the contract. They expended $236,000, which leaves a remaining balance of $41,000, which we're not going to expend. So the only reason I'm telling you that is it came in under what we allocated, so.
Mhm.
So the 9,000 is well within the budget.
But it's the time frame that,
But it's the timing of getting it done that didn't work. We should have came back in May. We got it extended to May, but we didn't come back and extend it to July. And as we're working it, we never went back to extend it. So I'd like to get this bill paid, and so I'd like the board's permission to pay it. And then with that letter, I'll give it to Judy, and she'll pay the bill,
Okay, what are we paying on this, the 11,000 or the 9,000?
the 9,000.
9,000.
So that's
Alright.
$9,000.
I make a motion that we pay the Beta invoice in the amount of $9,736.13.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
300.
so this was really approval to pay the invoice by extending the date of the contract.
Contract through July, the day of the bill.
Okay.
Back note, the Abrams contract, how much was that for?
It's $100 and something an hour, $135 an hour is what the contract's for.
Mhm.
And what did we just approve for, how many hours?
We're gonna extend it for a year, but we have no
Okay,
number.
1-year extension.
Extension at 150.
And it goes into what date, time frame?
It's gonna go July to June, July 1 to June 31, and it's.
June 2019.
Correct. And it's,
Thank you.
I believe it's $125 an hour is what we pay. And the contract, it's a service contract for hourly rate. That's done, the kickoff's done. You have the letter, is it on the agenda?
The Stone Path?
Yes.
Don't pay-
Yes.
yes, it-
Okay, so I won't touch it. I'll touch it, I can do it now, but you've got your letter. Those that didn't get it last week, I think last week we had a meeting, about 2 weeks ago, didn't get your letter's in your packet, you can read the letter. That is Vader's answer to the letter we got from Stone Path. It's that straightforward. That letter didn't cost us. It's just, we were required to answer the letter that Stone Path gave us. This is that letter. They're working on the actual capacity analysis, however, the wet weather season is near, we're waiting a little bit to do that. So there's a letter, you can digest the letter. The letter simply has conditions that we should apply, and we have to decide what we want to do with it, but there's a letter in answer to their specific letter.
But they don't seem to recognize the size of the pump that you put in there.
The TR-16 doesn't want them to. TR-16 makes you go by the smallest pump you have. That's the law, that's the DEP procedure. So if I put a pump, and here's what they're saying. If you had 2 offset pumps, and they do recognize it because that pump ran to capacity during the rainstorm, the new pump, the 5 horsepower pump, even without stone malt dumping in, that pump had all it could do to keep up because of the wet conditions. So it has to be analyzed in the wet conditions. If we put the small pump on during the wet conditions, it would not have kept up. So we actually put that bigger pump on for, I think, 3 straight days. So they're saying, to do it right, we gotta do it in wet weather, because those are the conditions that we have to duplicate.
Right.
Because we have to duplicate worst-case scenarios, not the best-case scenarios, because that's not what we're trying to duplicate. So that's all they're saying. And TR-16, which is the state guidelines for just design of systems, states that you will design to your smallest pump, in the event that you have a smallest pump, but
Why
we
do
did.
Why do we have a small pump?
Because that's what it was designed for. The pump we put in, it was our choice to put a bigger pump in, but the pump station was not designed for a bigger pump. And we just did it without an engineer telling us. When we bought a new pump, we said, can we put a bigger one? And we got the bigger one that slid and that's maxed out. But what I usually do is replace the pumps that are there because they're designed for that. We took it upon ourselves to put a little bigger one because we knew that with the trailer home park, knew that over the 5 years they were gonna do their build-out, that was gonna be marginal at very best with their build-out. So we weren't even factoring nobody else, just what we existing knew for knowledge, which was the trailer park. So we said, oh, we'll put a little bigger pump because that struggles when we have a rainstorm and the trailer park is there at accretion. So we did it for the past knowledge that we had, nothing for the future knowledge. So that's where we are with
A
that.
copy of this letter went to the selectmen, to Derek, to Stone Path. Did it go to the selectmen?
I'm not sure.
But it definitely Stone
It went
Path
to
and
Stone
Derek.
Path and to Derek, yes.
Any response from Stone Path on this study?
None whatsoever. It's not, there's no, we will, we won't, I have no response back
Okay.
whatsoever. So at this stage, I would like to write Stone Bath a letter asking for acknowledgement of that and what do they plan to do.
And are you planning to do an impact study
Yes.
using our own funds? Yes.
Yes,
Do you need approval from here to make that happen?
I'll wait till I get the contract. I'm gonna do, what we're gonna do is, as I said, we're gonna do more of an impact, we're gonna do a capacity of that park. Because it's a bigger picture now, because everything impacts. And we were just worried about flow because they come to one pump station. Remember, as we increase that flow, we're impacting 2 other pump stations that we haven't even looked at. And we never asked them to look at that.
So capacity of the industrial park plus the mobile home.
Park, which we have, and then, so they're gonna assess the lines from where it dumps in from the mobile home, all the lines down Kendrick, then the lines that go to Thatcher, back out of Thatcher to Toby. We're gonna assess Toby Road to Springborn, because that's where it all goes.
Kendrick, you went too fast. Kendrick to Thatcher
Yes.
to
Toby Road
Toby
to Springborn.
Springboard.
That's the loop, because that's the catchment area of where they are. We've never asked them to look at Thatcher. When we did Makepeace looked at Thatcher, Thatcher, because they didn't do Kendrick, Thatcher, Springborn, and Narrows, because that's the impact. For the stone wall, because it got so controversial, we just said, well, just let me know what goes there, and we stopped. And so when we had them do the impact study for the trailer park, we did Thatcher, we did the exact same procedure, because they took all the records from the other guys, from 80 Makepeace, all the way to Springborn, did their specific to Kendrick, tied all the numbers in, did all the math, yes, we got no impact all the way to Springborn. We did not do the same with Stone Bath. We just said, because you're so immediate across. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna do a capacity study, and the funds we're gonna use are the funds that we got from Walmart.
Well, can they in fact, if they don't respond to us, we've got recourse that we can do.
We do.
We
Okay.
do?
We do.
You can,
We can technically pull their permit to discharge,
Okay,
but I don't wanna go there.
no,
We have the right to pull it. So I went to a seminar, and I've asked the federal government, which is the EPA Division 1, I've given the entire scenario. Where, am I missing it? Am I wrong? What am I doing? And he looked at me and he said, yeah, you're crazy, because first of all, they need industrial permit. They don't have one. How are you letting discharge without industrial permit? And I said, well, at Wareham, we don't do industrial permits. It's all new to us, and we really don't do them. He says, you have to. It's an industry. It's a SIC code. It is a categorized industry. You have to do you have to do an industrial permit. That permit gives you right to regulate that. All right. And in our town, we do no industrial permits. We just do residential and commercial. That general. When we did Smithers, the EPA flipped out, the DEP flipped out, because that is regulated by the EPA and the DEP, and they wanted to see our industrial permit. I said, we don't have one. I said, what do you mean you don't have one? So there's some, I'm not saying legal issues, but there's some guidelines that we're supposed to be following that we're not following. All our dentists in town are regulated by the EPA because they got amalgam, and amalgam is supposed to be separate out of the waste stream. And they have all the recs because they're required to send in. We've never inspected a separator in any dentist's office in Wareham. That's our responsibility. So we're trying to set that program. So there's a lot that we're not doing that we need to do. And so I said, here's the, what do you want, what should I do, and how should I handle this? His name is Jay, he's the director coordinator, actually pre-treatment coordinator for the EPA Division 1.
so what are we going to do?
I'm going to, there's 2 things I want. I don't want them discharged without our permission. I want to watch it, because if we have a problem, I can stop them. They should have some regulated flow valves, not a ball valve, because a ball valve is not a regulated valve.
Exactly.
They need a valve that regulates.
Yeah,
And they put this valve and say it's a regulated valve, and what does it do per minute? Nobody says. Well, we'll make it do 220, and we'll make it do 170. It's impossible, because there's no way to know what that flow is. So they have no flow meter, and the valve's not regulated, so how can they tell me what they're gonna flow? Alls I do know is that they have a time frame. Once they start entering that vessel, they have to empty it. They can't do it 4 hours, whatever. They have to get it out of there, because that affects the process, the quality of their product. So that's all I know. And so I'm saying I want a regulated valve, I want it to be on off-peak hours, and let us know when you're doing it so we can be there. Because I have to sample, we've got to sample, we've got to go in there and sample, and see what the strength of their product is. That's the second part of it. And that's all right now, that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. And I'd like to send a letter making those statements. This is what you will do. And that's it, we're done. and then we'll do the capacity study of the entire park, see where we are, what the impacts are, and then we'll readdress it months down the road.
So what do you need to do then? What do you-
I'm gonna send a letter, just
Okay.
like the board, I'm
Would you-
gonna send them a letter asking,
Make sure that you put us on copy.
absolutely. You'll be copy.
Um,
That's all, so that's where I am with Stone Path, it's a day at a time,
And what about
That's
the
what it
town
is.
doing industrial permits? How do we get the
I'm
town?
I'm working through a pre-treatment program, I'm waiting for a pre-treatment coordinator. Right now, they don't know what union to put it in, there's been some grievances, the labor's union thinks they should have it, they think, it's just so that the town is working on doing something to get it out there. Because we need a pre-treatment coordinator. Technically, I'm the pre-treatment coordinator in Wareham right now. I'm in the middle of a certification program to get certified. Last pre-treatment program director was certified, I'm in the middle of a certificate, it's a 6-month program, so I can be certified as a pre-treatment coordinator, and I will be the official pre-treatment coordinator. By my position, I can do it, but I'm gonna be certified in it, and then we'll hire a pre-treatment coordinator. I'm waiting for some information from the pre-treatment coordinators out of New York, and they have the very malt factor that we have. and I'm
So we're gonna
waiting
have
for
to
their
hire
response.
another person?
Well, the position hasn't been filled, we just haven't filled the position. We had a pre-treatment
So
coordinator.
the answer is yes.
No,
And how
the
much is
answer
that gonna be around?
It's the same money we spent 50,000 on, it, same thing, that's not gonna change. The positions that we have that are open, they're already budgeted. So the answer is, we've already budgeted, we're waiting to fill them. When we have a vacancy,
Yeah.
that position is not filled. And so at the end of the year, you'll see the payroll, why didn't you spend the $200,000 you budgeted? Because we didn't fill these 3 positions. Because when we do a budget for a position, we do the total encompassment. So that position has never been filled, because the town doesn't know where to put it. So yeah, I can't fill it till I get a job description out there to fill it. I have 1.5 administrative assistants that I haven't filled yet. And the one that, when the young lady left to go to Mattapoisett, that hasn't been filled for over a year and a half. That's a vacant position. I have an operative position that we haven't filled yet. So that's still in the budget. So the answer is yes, we'd like to fill the positions we've already budgeted for.
So where's the extra money, so where's the money you budgeted going at the
It
end of
goes
the year?
back, it goes into
Goes
our
into the
retained.
general fund?
Yeah, no, it goes retained earnings.
Okay, so it doesn't go back to the town's
Oh,
general?
no, 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 no,
Not
no.
at
Just
all.
double checking.
No, it stays in retained earnings. Any money we don't,
It's a retained earnings, well,
Absolutely.
Okay.
it's our own.
we just kick it in the bank and then it's there, it doesn't
In
go
other words,
anywhere.
you had the budget for X dollars and you spent Y. So you
Okay,
get that much left over,
I
it goes
just-
into the pot.
Just wanna make
Yeah.
Our
sure.
pot.
It goes back into
Our
our,
part, okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
God knows we need it.
Yeah, so that's where that is. So we're trying to work this whole program, because there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ends that I gotta try to pull in. Restaurants, this is their inspection year, and I don't have time to get out there and do inspections. I had lunch at a couple restaurants, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I may leave, I don't even wanna see what I'm seeing, because I'm watching grease being spilt. I'm saying, let me just get out of here, because I don't have time to inspect them.
As long as they're not emptying the fry kettle down the drain.
But they are. They are.
Do you know which ones those are?
Well, the ones that I see, I tell them you can't do that. The ones that I actually told them, because you gotta hire this person, so I speak up as far as you shouldn't be doing, that's not best management practice. Can I see a video that you were given? Did you watch a video that you were given? Well, I really haven't had time, and and no, so that's why you give them the video, it's your responsibility to watch the video, it's the best management practice, so, that's where I'm gonna go with all this. So what I physically see, I mention it, and that's it. I haven't slammed anybody.
Should we make public the restaurants that are not following the grease protocol?
I don't know.
I
That's
think
a tough
before
question.
I think before you do something like that, right?
I know, give them a chance.
Well, I think
We'll
we
give
should
them a
send,
lot of chance.
we think we should send a
Send them a letter.
letter from the board.
So it's
not
called,
from the
sig-
superintendent.
it's called
They're gonna reward that
significant.
as much as they can.
it's called significant contributor. And as a pre-treatment coordinator, if somebody contributes significantly, you write them up. And that doesn't take board approval, that's
I
in
didn't
the
say
rules.
it's a board approval, I
Yeah,
said I
same.
think it should come from the board to add a little more weight to what you're sending, because you send that piece of paper out there, and unless there's been effective enforcement of this in the past,
Well, we've already done that, I just haven't got out there. Because we already agreed to a fee, the enforcement, they've done that, we did a year of education, sent them all letters, went to the businesses, gave them everything we did.
Yeah,
We said-
you
We
did.
did everything we said we were gonna do.
And they're still
No,
not doing
They're
it?
not. So the second phase is getting out there and actually, okay, sir, it's $100 to do inspection, let's do this inspection. Well, that's not done, that's not done. This is done, great job, you're doing this, whatever
Any
the case may
consideration
be.
of hiring an inspector, just?
We are, I'm waiting. We're waiting.
Not
Not
No.
per
full-time.
diem,
No.
per diem type thing?
I hadn't thought about that.
That's a good, they do that for the Board of Health, to
They
do
would
the
probably have
inspections.
a-
as opposed to in hire,
Absolutely, that's a good point.
but there must be some company out there that provides that type
Exactly.
of manpower.
I'm sure.
There
And
is.
I'm sure, I would very well be supportive of paying somebody.
Do it a 3-month program and see what happens.
There
Yes.
is.
See what,
I'll do that. I'm just trying to get to it, but you're right, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And technically, the money's there because even though I can't take it out of payroll,
I
but
mean,
it's
to
still
sit here
there.
and discuss all the things that we're not doing, this is something that we can do and should do.
Yeah.
And get off,
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
get off of square one and do it.
we got into that because of manpower, we're talking about manpower. When it comes to
Well,
doing
we've
the
got an
rest of
option for you on the manpower right now.
So
There's an
we
option
can-
right there.
we'll look at per diem and having somebody doing
I'm
it
looking for
because.
the word outside resource.
Outsource, yeah, we can outsource it. Because to go into, have anybody do it's not in the job description, it just opens up a major can of
Yeah.
worms.
No, don't even go there.
Yeah. It's just- it's-
Don't even go there.
And it's certainly got a lot of restaurants.
We have tons of restaurants,
Inspection, and look at hiring outside resource to do the
we have
inspections.
tons of restaurants that we look at, so we'll do that. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Consultant, another consultant.
That's what,
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
what it's gonna be, because
That's
that's what they
exactly-
do, they go out there and they do it, that's what they do.
And then if they find fault, they come to you and you say, okay, I'm gonna look
And
and
then they do it.
I'll send them their fines or their notices and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we can't hire inside, there's still, there has to be people out there that have that expertise that can come in and be
There is.
paid per diem.
There is.
It's a heck of a lot cheaper.
It
Yes.
is. Bay Point started, we're out there inspecting. One of the issues I'm having, and it's really, I don't know where to go with them, I'm trying to figure it out, but they put an SDR 35. So all that means is a schedule for sewer pipe. You see the green sewer pipe, SDR 35? For a short period of time, they made a white one that was less thick
Yeah.
and very brittle. We gotta make about 40 cuts into that pipe. And that pipe is very brittle, I'm nervous of it. So I'm talking to the owners of Bay Point, I'm trying to get that entire pipe replaced before they start tying in all their other.
So they laid the white one as opposed to the
Yeah, that's
green
back
one?
in, yeah, back in the day.
Oh,
Yes.
It's well before us, when they did the Bay Point condo association,
Okay.
the one that's there, well before us. And that runs them, Cahoon Street and Bay Point Drive is owned by the town, I didn't know that. But we own that street, we own that pipe.
Yeah.
And so because we own that pipe, they need to cut into it, and I get permission to cut into it. So when we noticed it was a white pipe, and I found out that it's very brittle, I'm saying, listen, we need to do something with that pipe. We own it, but I don't wanna tell you can't tie into it. But because once you cut into it, it starts fracturing, and that's gonna lessen the integrity of that pipe that we own, I think you should just replace it. Just dig it all up, replace the pipe, and then tie, as you do that, put your tie in. So that's gonna be my next move, and it's gonna be a significant cost, so they may balk, so.
Well, the second question in there is if they tie in as is, don't upgrade the pipe, and it fractures, and you have to do something with the pipe, who's nickel?
I want it to be their nickel.
Who's nickel now?
But now it's gonna be
Hourly.
ours.
Well, that's the point.
That's right, so that's why I
So if
want
they
to
break
replace
the
it.
pipe, we're on the hook for the repair.
Well-
That's basically what we
What
are
I'm
right
hearing,
now, is
yeah.
what he's saying. He's not saying it, but that's what he's saying. Okay, so in other words,
So I put, we own that pipe.
you replace the damn pipe,
How long ago did we put the white pipe down?
Oh, when did
20
we do it?
years,
Yeah,
30?
20 years.
20
I think
years.
we did in the 80s, I think it
For
was,
the
I look at the
condominiums,
things, the
yeah.
80s we did the condos, so that's
Mhm.
20, almost 30-something
next
years.
question is that a pipe that could be lined to improve the integrity?
Probably, well, the hot part of line it, we'd have to line it, and they gotta come back and cut in the new laterals. So I'd have to talk to a lining company how we do that, because they haven't put the laterals in yet. If I line it, then they cut in laterals. Well, they can, I suppose they can, they just gotta do a different type of technology. I suppose they can, because it's a harder substance. I don't know if you can line it. I mean, once you line it, can you drill into it? I'm not sure. I'd have
Well,
to ask some
obviously,
questions.
must be able to, from the stories that we've heard, having the place lined, and they said it
After
wasn't
the
open
fact.
water, and
That's after the fact.
Yeah.
This is before laterals are there. We do, because we gotta go back and reinstate the laterals, because it's already there, we just they cut out the material.
that's what the lateral's there. And if you're gonna add laterals, wouldn't that be the same as drilling a hole in the wall of a pipe just to
I don't
show
know.
that it holds water?
I don't know, because they're gonna drill through that pipe and then go through the lining. Are they gonna cause a separation of the lining? I don't know.
Exactly.
And how do they put it in and tie it in
I
so this
think the
is like,
simplest thing is
I don't know.
we pick up the phone and we ask.
You know, because that's, I'm
what
asking
you
a lot
said.
of questions now,
Does Danny will
because
have that answer?
I don't know anything, so I asked about the pipe, I'm just learning about the pipe, I'm doing a lot of research on the pipe, because I wanna be sure, before I make them do something, I wanna be sure that I understand the pipe, so that we've completed that research, and we're sure that that pipe will splinter, it's a splintering pipe. So now I'm gonna move on that, so Bay Point started, and as we go, we're gonna make sure that we bring things up to date as the best we can, so I'll ask all those questions in the best way to approach it.
Did you say?
It's a schedule, it's an SR35 white pipe.
That's what they have now?
That's right, it's only built for 2 years, and that's it. They realized it was a bad pipe, they stopped making it.
And what's the green one called?
SR35, same thing, same number, it's just that it's, one's green, one's white, the white is very thin, the green is thick where it's supposed to be for sewer, so it was a very bad pipe. SR35.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that, so Bay Point's going to get that. Mill Pond Diner, we don't, I'm getting concerned, it's like going forever, and I don't know where it's gonna end, but right now they have 2 tanks in the back, and the grease and septage is polluted, we don't know when, you can't separate them. And they fill them, then we get it. I'm watching the flow increase, so we're giving them free flow increases, that means that so far I've taken in about 75,000 gallons that I'm not charging for, because it's a tough case, and we're doing the very best. When do we stop this? What do we do? Should we ask them what their plans are? Are they ever gonna fix it? What's going on? I don't know. I'd like to get some, and where's I was thinking, because I know Jim goes there a lot, maybe he can talk to you and find out what's going on.
Don't do that.
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, and they're gonna have to pay something if
Well-
we're doing it.
It's free, we charge them, what we're doing is we charge,
Isn't he paying the EDU?
he's paying the
He's
EDU.
paying the EDUs anyhow,
So he's paying EDUs.
so he's
So-
paying something.
So what that's right, it's not a freebie,
Okay.
but we give him free disposal for the product, and the biggest concern is it's mixed. He can't separate them. And so because it's mixed, and I'm dumping this all at the Headworks for septic, I'm charging them all for septic, so he's not paying for grease and all that stuff. So I just wanna know long-term. We're working with it, we tried our very best, we get up top, but there's gotta be a long-term here. Is this gonna go on forever? What are we doing? I'm just trying to figure that out.
Well, if we're not doing anything, they'll let it go, they're gonna let it ride, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we need to do
We need
something.
to do something, because this is not costing,
Exactly.
so
And
we need
is-
to,
Is the issue with the Assad
yeah.
cleared up? Okay.
No.
That's
No.
back in court.
That's
it.
That's being appealed. Actually, the Assad won, and they're appealing it. So I just wanna,
That hasn't gone to bed yet.
no.
I mean,
So I just wanna get it, but you need to have
And
just
that
an
includes,
idea.
and that
Just
includes
an
the
idea of what
Tremont,
we're trying to
yeah,
look
it'll
at.
Tremont
either be
nail
either tomorrow or Saturday.
bathrooms, right?
Tremont Nail that we own
The
is separate.
bathrooms, a
It's
separate, okay,
because we have our own pump on the other side.
okay.
Now, you all were at the town meeting and heard the
Yes.
analysis of that, the water there. So just so
Yeah.
you all know that wet well leaks like a sieve, it's taking in tons of groundwater right now. Right, and that's the pump
And
station.
that wasn't covered in town meeting.
Meeting, that wasn't,
Never talked about it.
nobody said a word
No,
about
no,
that.
what they talked about is the groundwater contamination. That groundwater that's contaminated is getting into that wet well. That wet well leaks like a sieve, takes in groundwater.
No, they didn't talk about groundwater contamination,
Oh, yeah,
they
they
talked
did.
about soil
And
contamination.
they talked
I
about
didn't,
groundwater.
I didn't,
There's a pocket of groundwater contaminated, both of them. I took
So what
notes.
are they gonna do?
I don't know what we're gonna do. So anyways, and I think we went on record a while back to say that that pump station is owned by the town. It's not the sewer department, it's the town's well, so they need to address that. I don't know what they're, I don't know, but we need to be aware of it. But that pump station leaks like a sieve.
Do we charge the town?
We charge them use, but whatever else is happening, they pay a sewer bill. And they pay a sewer bill now, and we lower it to 1 EDU because the building is used for storage. And they're storing in this, we charge them 1 EDU, so they pay for the use of that pump station. We pay them for usage, but it's their pump station, and so the rehab is, because it's theirs, the rehab has to be theirs. We've
What-
charged it and done different things, but it's not the answer.
What needs to be done to the pump station?
The wet well needs to be rehabbed, rehabilitated, the wet well. And I believe, I met with the marijuana people last week, and I don't think there's gonna be a capacity issue with them. They're a closed loop, it's just the amount of chemicals, they're doing CO2, they're doing hydrocarbons, they're doing methanol, there's different extraction methods, they're using them all.
and they'll do their own disposal of each one of those chemicals.
And there's somebody that'll come in, they'll do that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't relieve us, and we need the reports, that's all, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so we're just gonna ask, when I met with them, I said, listen, I need reports. I need
So the only
reports of
thing
what
that's
you're
going
doing.
into our system is what they flush or wash down the drain.
There's some
Yes.
process water, because they're making food too, so he guesstimated about 200 to 300 gallons per day. I called a company out in Colorado that says that would probably be real about maybe 800 to 1,000 gallons per day, because they've got a process that's similar, but who knows? But it's not
they have-
significant.
They definitely have stepped up and said that the chemicals,
They pull them out,
will not be included, will not be flowing into our
they said they'll
sewer
pull them
line.
out.
Yes.
And so, and there's floor drains, so anytime there's floor drains and you're pulling them out, there has to be a spill prevention so I said, I have no problem with it.
So there's a lot
There's
coming up.
things that you need to do to
So
make sure.
once the AG approves the article, then they can start putting
working
out
on it.
plans.
So we're talking now,
Yeah,
and we're
okay.
doing some information back and forth, and there's some assurances that we need. I don't have a problem with it, we just need some assurances to keep all them contaminants, because they're gonna extract every drop they can to maximize profits. And then that process is residual, they're gonna try to recatch it, recatch it.
They are, the company that's going in there is one of the Walmarts of the cannabis.
Yep.
It's not a small,
No, it's not.
so-
They have
so
17
they-
operations.
so I would definitely take heed of what the people in Colorado have told you.
Absolutely. They were very, the guy that I talked to, I got his name and number, and I'm continuing, he says, it's a good, and it is, I'm not denying the business because it's very profitable, and obviously everybody wants it, so we're not going there. But there's some things you just need to conscious, and one
Oh,
of the things
absolutely.
and the federal government won't touch it. I've talked about it with the federal government, because their mind it's illegal, so they really they don't wanna advise us. NWRA was very helpful, because in their whole sector, they have a lot. The state was helpful as to what you need and what's going on, so we're gonna continue on that path and make sure that we get. But yeah, they're very good people, they seem to be conscious of what's going on, so we'll work with them. So we met with them and they're done. We're meeting next week with the Lab Corporation, there's gonna be a marijuana lab that we're looking at installing, so we'll look at that.
Where?
It's on Cranberry Highway someplace, up by 300 up in that area there, I'm not so sure, but we've got a meeting in this very room, I think the 7th of January,
That's not Mr. Pitts, is it?
I don't know.
7th of January or
I
November?
believe it's November, 7th of November, I believe it's 7th of this month.
But you also have a manufacturer going under Pizza Boy.
Pizza Boy?
Mm-hmm.
Is it manufacturer or lab?
I thought I heard manufacturing, but that could very well, I thought they had given approval for whatever it was to go underground, under the lower ground floor,
Pizza Boy.
under Pizza Boy.
I believe it's a lab,
Okay.
because that makes sense
So
on that
that
cranberry
lab would
stress.
be the one that'd be doing testing.
That's right, they'll test all the products. And so
Yeah.
now labs have a special category themselves, because their testing creates a lot of residual. Where does that residual go? So we have to
So,
talk, we'll talk
okay.
about the lab, about what they're doing with how they're collecting their waste before it gets to us, and what comes to us and that type of thing. So we're gonna work with that. And there's also somebody looking to do a grow house, and that's coming up too. So I don't think there's a lot of water and wattage of electricity, but from what I'm hearing on that, so I'm doing some pre-investigation on that, but I think it should be fine. So we'll look at that. So anyways, there's a lot coming, it's an industry
Okay,
that's
you've got
booming.
don't you have a pre-conference bid meeting on the 7th,
Whatever day it is,
10 o'clock?
which one? Is that for the,
That's for the
Speech?
Swiss Beach
I forget what it is.
liner,
10
yeah.
o'clock
Yeah, but-
on the 7th.
yeah, it is. I can tell you exactly, because I just got the memo today from Ken. And I accepted it, so I think it's like 2 o'clock here, I think that's 11 o'clock. It just, I believe the marijuana is 2 o'clock. I think the pre-conference is 11 o'clock, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, 10 o'clock,
Yes,
unless they change it to 11.
So it just, it has, I think I have, November's crazy. Next, I've got the rooftop, the 7th. The rooftop got a bid opening at 11. Yeah, and that, I got a walkthrough, I got,
The rooftop?
yeah, we're doing three roofs at the plant.
Oh, okay.
So I got, that's coming up. It's just busy, and it's just crazy, it's been crazy. It's good stuff. Yeah, so Ken, I accepted, I don't see it here, National, what's this that saying? Yeah, 10 o'clock, I'm sorry, it's the 6th, 10 o'clock National MJ Lab. That's a
On the
6th
6th.
for the lab. So that's where we are with that, make sure I got everything.
You gonna talk to us what happened to Mass Maritime?
You want me to?
Just, I mean, all it was the initial, was that
It's
the
not-
initial meeting regarding that outflow at Mass Maritime?
So what is this kickoff meeting? I should have done
Yes.
that. And you probably did, because this is the agenda.
Yep,
So it's a kickoff, so we talked about, so the kickoff meeting, and I think I saw you before.
Yep.
I think the kickoff meeting, we talked about the water quality testing. We've been doing water quality testing. We actually almost meet our requirements of 2 years of baseline studying that the fisheries and the CZM is requiring of the Ocean Sanctuary Act. And everything we're doing is geared under the Ocean Sanctuary Act. It's the first one.
Yeah.
It's act, but we're the first using it, so everybody understands that. So we can do the benthic, we can do the eelgrass, and the benthic talks a lot about what's there. In the bottom of the floor of the ocean, what's there? You know, whether it's mussels, and so they reported some really healthy stuff. There's some mussels and
mud
clams
and
all
mud
that.
and mud and mud.
And in that mud, there's a lot of good things. So that life quality, we have to make sure we don't destroy. So that's why this is all baseline studying. So they're doing all that. The fishery assessment they've done, they've identified all the species under there, and that's been done through the fisheries, and that's been done for years. And then, so that's where we are. The next step is to continue monitoring next year. So that's where we are. So that's that part of the water quality and habitat analysis. And then the treatment capacity and technology, that was GHD, and they talked about capacity alternatives. How are we gonna do the plant, if we're gonna do the plant? How are we gonna size it? Are we gonna leave it like it is and expand tanks? We're gonna build a whole new one? There's all the options. They're gonna look at all those options and present them. Because remember, the bottom line of all this stuff is, what's it gonna cost? Everyone wants to know where we're getting the money. Well, before we even start thinking about that, what's it gonna cost? We gotta put a cost to all this stuff, and that's the whole concept of what we're doing. We know that if we just move the outfall, which it's Beta talked about, then that gives us 500,000 gallons of capacity. What's the cost of moving that outfall? Wareham's coming to capacity issue, just Wareham, because of the capacity of the plant. We wanna bring in more industry, we're gonna do more, well, that takes sewer. If we don't have the sewer, then we're gonna have to start saying, no.
No.
And that's gonna be, that day is gonna be crazy, and we have to say, I'm sorry, great business, you can't come in. Great housing development, can't come in. So that's why we started this process, because what are we gonna do? So that's what we're doing with the outfall relocation. We're also looking on the side note, we're looking at land application. Do we want to put on the land, recharge the groundwater? Well, the environmentalists are saying no. The EPA is saying you will put a percent back on the land, because all this water we're taking out, you gotta put back. Because once it goes to the ocean, it's never to be used again. So we're vetting that. So those are the alternatives, and that's gonna be part of that study and analysis. All the different options, along with the outfall and the routes. We can use the rail, but the rail wants it, they want it sheathed the entire length of the way, which is gonna be costly. Then there's a question of how do you maintain it, because to get it's active track. And the railroad's talking about that being very active through commuter rail. Major commuter rail
Yeah.
down there. So that's it, but we still have to look at, put a price on it, 6 and 28, put a price on that. Directional drilling at different points.
And you got an issue with 6 and 28, because once they redo that road, you can't touch it for years.
I don't want to cut. First of all, what I like to do is before if I'm going to do anything previous they do the road, I want to cut over our sewer pipe and put a pipe on top of it. Only because there's no utilities there. The biggest problem with digging on 6 and 28 is the utilities everywhere. And so if I just have to worry about crossing utilities, it's an easier dig for me. If I'm going to go on the side of the road, I've got crossing utilities and I've got parallel utilities, which is a bigger deal. So if I go right on the pipe, I just got crossing utilities. It just reduces the cost tremendously because you can go a little faster. And so the cost of moving, because when you're on a state highway or any highway, you have trench boxes. When you're down 5 or 6 feet, moving trench boxes is a major deal, let alone paying for it. So it can be costly. So we're looking at that also. We're looking at directional drilling. We're looking at all the options, and then we'll put a cost on all the options and figure out where we gotta go. So that's that task. We need to know. And then the last task is governing. How do we govern this? Do we want all IMAs? Do we want a district? What do we want? And so what they're hiring somebody, and they're gonna look at all the existing, they're out there. There's IMA processes out there, there are districts out there, there's some local ones, there's 3 or 4 towns like Norton and Taunton, and they all have them. And so we're gonna review all of them and bring it to all the stakeholders and say, okay, which way do you wanna go? So that's also tasked in there. All right, so that's all in there, just so you're aware.
Okay.
That's what we talked about, and that was what the meeting was about. Everybody had questions and answers. Plymouth was there, Marion was there, Wareham was there, Mass Maritime was there, the only one missing was Bourne. Only one missing was Bourne. I don't know, did you get a letter? Yeah, you did, okay. Never mind.
What?
The evaluation of Stonewall. I don't remember if I did. So we're only missing one, and so that's where we are with it. The next update is January.
January 31st.
We'll do the next quarterly meeting, all right, so you'll.
January what?
It's in the bottom of the letter.
Oh, we have
Where-
progress
at the
report
bottom.
on the 31st.
Oh,
Is
January
that-
31st,
is
thank
that
you.
also what the quarterly meeting would be?
No, because they said mid-January would be
Yeah,
the
so I
meeting.
see it.
So I will get you back to date, but look in January, to be in January, because we have to buy, so this is EPA money, it's actually federal money, the
Right,
grant.
right,
And so there's quarterly progress reports that we have to send to EPA.
right,
So we'll get copies of the reports, and we'll go have a meeting and go over those reports that we're gonna submit, so
okay.
that'll be all that. And I think I can wrap up, I don't think, I'm just
Okay.
making sure that I'm not missing anything.
If that's the case, I have a couple things.
Yeah.
We need to include in the minutes that our meeting on 10/18 did not happen because there was no quorum. So we need to record in the minutes of today's meeting that 10/18 meeting did not happen in case someone goes looking for a set of minutes for that particular date.
Okay.
We talked about having a review of a abatement request for 3013 Cranberry. The old-
Sometime in December.
Yeah, sometime in December, so,
December,
yeah.
last meeting in December.
I would like to, under unfinished business, add a letter C for the homes not connected. I don't want to forget that.
No,
And
I've got that down.
so, to me,
You're talking about the tied-in ones that we got this,
Yeah.
how come we didn't get the individual addresses like we did in the last one, Guy?
We can get them, there's a whole big file, we can get
Yeah,
them.
because, huh?
It just,
yeah, I would like to see it put on the agenda
I'd like to
and
see.
continue discussing. And
what I would like to do, I'd like to get it to you, we can email it to you individually, I just
Yeah,
don't want it to
I don't
become,
want it-
I don't want it to be public.
I agree.
No, I understand with that,
Okay.
I understand that,
That's what
and
it's
and
on.
I don't have a problem with that. But you'll email it to us, that's
So I
fine.
got we're starting to get letters on that last letter we sent up for the unconnected homes, and it's back to the a lady that her husband retired, they're on social security, they have no money whatsoever, they don't have a car, she can't even have the money to put a stamp to send me a letter. I gotta come by and pick up the letter, I can't tie in, so they're coming in, so I'm just gonna give them to the board and you can address them as you see.
well, that's
fit.
one of 86.
That's the first one I got.
But
I've got other people calling and saying I
keep in
can't do
mind-
it, but you gotta send a letter.
CETA has money
She can't
Yeah.
even-
for
she's-
loans.
She's so poor, she can't even borrow it.
What's the story with CETA?
I would love to have I would love to have a meeting with all the parties involved, whether it be CETA, be sewer commissioner, sewer director, and Board of Health. Where can we go? What do we do next to get these 86 homes tied in? Because everybody has a little piece of it all, and I think we should hear from everybody to come up with a strategy to get a tie-in.
Who's in charge of CETA now?
Sanborn.
Peter Sanborn is in charge. I think Cedar's under the planning. I think plans on the Cedar, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I mean, there has to
But
be,
Peter is in charge of the program. And there's absolutely, every year you'll see
there's
the
a lot
approval of it.
of, yeah, there's a lot of people with information regarding this that we should sit down in a room and talk as a whole as to where to go with getting these 86 people to tie up.
Because what I'm hearing, and I'm not gonna go there, but they said because of their limited income,
Well, that's
how can they pay the loan?
That's-
And
well,
they can't pay the
that's
loan,
an
so-
issue, because I'm sure if you ask CETA, they'll probably tell you not everybody has repaid.
So I don't know.
I mean, so, but that's one out of 86.
And so we just started,
I'm
so.
just-
I'm just,
If the issue is to reduce our nitrogen, we've got to do a better job of getting these
Can-
people to
Can we
tie
do
up.
subsidies for people like that, or can Cedar do a subsidy?
That's why we really need to talk to Peter to
they
say
do
what is
grants,
available.
and they do
Yeah.
grants.
Yeah.
They do
Grants.
grants available
What
to a
is-
certain guideline.
That's why we really need to bring many departments in together to talk about
And I
alternatives.
think it's long past the date that we should do something like that. Because,
We're close to the 5-year limit on even the latest
yeah,
project.
and I know,
Or beyond it.
and I know some people that can afford to do it, that just haven't done it.
I had a couple of comments, says, well, we got 3 kids to put in college, we can't afford it. I said, well, lucky you.
Oh,
But
too
anyways,
bad.
and I feel bad for them, but I don't at the same time, because this is a high priority. So.
I'm sorry,
Exactly,
you knew your 3 kids were going to college. It was probably,
a long
Yeah.
time ago.
yeah.
I would think.
Not my
Okay, so
problem.
I'll talk to Peter, and maybe you can have him come from the board and present what
Out
they
of
actually have.
curiosity, Guy, would you have any guesstimate on what it would cost the average homeowner to tie in?
$3,000.
So all we're talking about is a $3,000 figure. That's a lot of money for us.
A lot of people's, I think we missed the point. I'm gonna tell you, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I consider myself a very blessed individual. I mean, I can pay my bills, and I have a great job, and I'm so thankful. But there's a great segment in this town that kind of need, and I mean that in the nicest way, because they're struggling, they get a minimal check of $700 a month. And they gotta pay rent, pay taxes, buy food, buy medication, and they just simply cannot do it. And so they're there, and so they gotta present their case, and there's gonna be something, whether it's, okay, that's fine, we'll attach your home, here's the $3,000, we'll attach your home, and someday you can pay it. That's an alternative, you have to pay nothing right now, but someday you can, as long as it's attached to your home,
Well, that's
someday
why
you can
we
pay it
really
back.
need to
So
talk to-
those are the kind of things we can do for those folks, because they're
Yeah,
out there.
we need to
They're
talk
out
to
there.
Sanborn.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
We need a Board of Health in here. I mean, yeah, so,
I've already talked to Bob about this. So he's willing to help wherever he can on,
trying to understand what they have for systems right now, if it's even recorded in the Board of Health for having a system.
It's hard to get, it's hard information.
What do you
to get,
mean?
so to get it.
Whether or not it's a cesspool or a Title V.
it doesn't make any difference. If they should have hooked up, they should have hooked up, period. End of story, no matter what they have.
Yes, but I would be more aggressive with a cesspool,
Why?
because,
Probably better in some cases. Depends on where it is.
Yeah.
Seriously.
to me, would it, I don't know whether or not the tie-in would be cheaper with a cesspool or cheaper with a Title V that has to be, both have to be,
It's
Well,
coming
It's
from the
cheaper,
house
it's
anyhow.
cheaper with the cesspool because they gotta abandon the system.
they just have to
And so
fill it
there's more
in.
to abandon, so with the cesspool, you just fill it in and you're done. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's absolutely cheaper, because the contractor has to charge you to abandon, and we make them abandon the system.
Mhm.
So, but I think it's, I don't know how much it is, but it's a little bit more. And-
So will
and
you
so
see
think-
if we can get Sanborn to come talk to us, or?
We can have
Well,
an agenda.
What I'll do is I'll see if I can, I'll talk to him and to Bob, either, and see if we can get them to come to a meeting and we can do it. Or set up a
Or a
meeting
special meeting.
instead of someplace for them at a different time.
I'm trying to think who else, what other departments would be,
Those are the only
Involved
ones
in
that
those.
are applicable at the moment.
mm,
And if they, if after meeting with them, we decide we have to do some more, then that's different, but that'll be a start.
and I had, I'm sorry, one more thing. I'm requesting permission from the sewer commissioners' time to, with the financial people in the town, to understand the funds and accounts available for the sewer plant.
Fine.
Okay?
I don't have a problem with that. I'm not sure. I think it's good that somebody on the board understands it.
Then with your permission, I will then ask Mr. Sullivan if I can get permission with Mr. Foster and with Judy.
And if you'd like, you can have Mr. Abrahams join you, because he's actually broke all those numbers out, every one of them.
Now, does Lee at your office have anything to do with any of this?
So she does, but she doesn't. When it comes to actual accounting, so for Mr. Abrahams to do his job fight in discussion with the town of Wareham, he has access to every single number. He pulls those numbers out. He actually does balance sheets for us. He gives us material that I have a hard time getting, but nonetheless. So all I'm saying is that you can add him in the equation, because he's actually been doing all the IMA stuff and all the finances for the sewer department.
Gotcha.
And so, and not that, I would go to John, I would go to Judy, absolutely. But I
Yeah.
think
But
conversations
include
with
him,
the-
yeah.
Absolutely.
That makes,
Well,
that makes a lot of
I
sense.
need to understand from a town's viewpoint, then I can go to him. But,
Yeah, he had to get the information. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot there. A lot there. And it's important that you know, important to understand the finances. Absolutely. Absolutely.
One other thing, his tie-in bond, there's a story with them, are they still alive?
No, they did. They're
That's what I
dead.
thought.
They're dead as doornail.
They must be-
So Mike is at the point, he's done, at the point, he's expended his funds, he's done. And so now he needs direction. We're gonna set a meeting up. I'm trying to get a meeting for him to come in and explain to you exactly where he is. We're to the point, again, there's no formula, there's no A, B, C, D equals G. There's so many variables, and he doesn't know where to go with the variables now. So he needs direction from the board as where to go with the variables.
then should we add EDU to the unfinished,
Mhm.
so we should
Yeah,
have
that's-
sump pumps,
It's been there,
storm
but-
path,
It's
EDU,
been there right along.
and homes
Sandy,
not
it's
connected,
just
I know, but just to be consistent then, so we would have,
So if you want Mike, I'll get Mike to the next
Well,
agenda.
yeah, I thought we were gonna have him a couple of weeks back.
It,
4 weeks back.
it got crazy, right? We sent an invitation, and he never answered it. We're supposed to come in.
and I'm done with my notes.
Well, maybe. Let's see, I'm gonna see, maybe we get Mike here, give him a little time, because our calendar.
I would think that we want to have a light agenda, depending on how many questions you want to have, where you want to go with
Yeah,
it.
how about, what about
gonna be up
doing
to
it for
you.
like the 6th of December, the first,
6th of December.
our first meeting there? Because our last meeting.
Because it's gonna be very difficult to start getting things done after, once we get through November. December's a difficult month to get
Mhm.
people.
Well, that's what I was looking at, the only reason I was looking at that is because our first meeting is basically that first Thursday there, the 6th, so it's
The
the first
6th?
week, right in the break.
Because you
Front
know
end of
as
the
well
month.
as I do, and if we're not getting,
Because the rest of the month is pretty well shot.
even the, yeah,
And,
and we're having hard enough time getting our commissioners here. It was improved last week, 2 weeks ago.
So for the 6th, we're gonna ask
Ask, see if Ty and Bond can be here.
T and B,
Mhm.
Okay.
to give us an update on the EDU project.
Right.
I was actually going to text them right now, just so I don't forget.
Okay, Sandy, you've got the floor.
No, Donna does.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second,
Everybody knew it was me. Aye.
First I'm saying 4, okay, then it.
Yeah, come on.
what time is it?
It is 5 minutes of 8.
7:51.
7:51.
Yeah, something.
Because I've also asked that we have a, never mind. So, thank you, everybody. Sorry, I had made notes and I'm one of them. I'm signing.